make it accessible and real for as many people as possible and supportive. I think that's the thing. That's what I needed when I was anxious, and I think I know how that feels, and I just want people to experience the joy of getting in the ocean and exploring.
Welcome to the Swim Chats podcast. I'm Shona Riddell, a writer, former journalist and ocean swimmer from Wellington, Aotearoa, New Zealand. For each episode, I'll feature a different guest from our swim community. They'll be dippers, adventure swimmers, coaches and conservationists with one thing in common. They all love being in the sea. So whether you're a swimmer yourself or just interested in stories about the ocean and people expanding their comfort zones, I hope you enjoy these swim chats. Please hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Kaye, thank you so much for your time today. And I've written a short introduction, so I'm just going to read it and then you can tell me if you want to add or change anything.
Okay.
Kaye Mueller is an ocean swimmer and a yoga instructor. She's the owner of YogiFish, a business which takes people on yoga and swim retreats in beautiful locations, both here in New Zealand and abroad. She lives in Leigh, which is a small community north of Auckland, and she gets to swim in Goat Island Marine Reserve, which I'm pretty sure is New Zealand's first marine reserve and established in 1975, according to my Googling. I first met Kaye earlier in the year on one of her swim retreats, and she is a vibrant, warm, and inspiring person, and as she would say, a salty soul. Kaye, welcome to Swim Chats.
Thank you, Shona. That was really nice.
I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you. That's oh.
Have you been swimming today? Did you go for a swim?
I actually have not. No. I've had a few days out. We're training for the Blue Lake event this weekend. We'll see you there, actually.
Yeah.
You're coming, aren't you?
Hopefully,
so that's,
yeah.
Dan Feist's Legend of the Lake, and some of us are going to attempt the amphibian.
Cool. Have you done that one before?
No, I got COVID when I got there last year, ready to do it, and tested positive for COVID. So I have a score to settle. Yeah, but it's been a little bit funny. We're training, and we're all 60 to 70-year-olds, like mostly, a couple of younger, and we've been training on a trail around our area, and we're falling like flies. I'm getting injured.
Oh no! Yeah, because it's a run. Is it a swim and a run and then a swim? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So how does that work in terms of transitions from the water to the running to the water? Do you have a sort of a swim suit that you can run in?
I was going to say the transition's very slow. It happens very
slowly. Yeah, it would be for me.
We've been trialing it, and some are wearing wetsuits, and they'll wear the wetsuit on the run. I've just got a little sunsuit and sort of swimming shorts, and I swim and I trial that. And then you just run out. Your shoes are waiting for you. Chuck those on, do the run, and then throw off the shoes. And some will strip off their wetsuit and just do the last 500 in their togs or in their wetsuit. Everyone's trialing different things. It's a great big adventure. So
that sounds really fun. Actually, I might try that next year. Yeah. So I was going to ask, you swim in Leigh, which I've had the pleasure of swimming there too now. It is the beautiful Goat Island Marine Reserve. What's it like swimming there on a regular basis, and what do you see in the water when you go swimming?
Well, Goat Island is our backyard, so we're very, very lucky to have actually, it's also the world's first fully protected marine reserve. So it's a real jewel, and it's very, very precious. And so getting to swim there every day if we want to is a treat. And whether it's summer or winter, in summer there's more sort of little things in the water, but in winter it turns a glassy green, and the water is so clear and cold. It's become my favorite time to swim there. And you see things, it's like looking through green glass. And we see a lot of kelp. It's quite a healthy, it's got good biodiversity there with kelp. We see snapper. Every day it's different. So some days there won't be a lot, and other days we'll have a lot of blue mau, a lot of rays, snapper, goatfish. There's just, it's really lovely just to swim around. We often will circumnavigate the island. It's a 2 kilometre swim. And but it is kind of next level psychologically, because on the land side up the channel you see lots of things, but then you get into the big blue, and that's open ocean around the back, and there are massive big caves, and they're quite daunting. Big, just drops into the big blue. It's quite wonderful, and every so often, depending on the conditions, it can be choppy, or we can get this beautiful Pacific swell coming in from afar, and it's like just lifts you up and drops you down like the ocean's breathing. And we never get out of the water grumpy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a fan of the singer Nick Cave, but he writes a newsletter, and a few months ago he talked about his enjoyment of wild swimming, which is what they call it in the UK.
Yes.
I'll forward you the email if you haven't seen it, because he describes it so beautifully, just as you just did when you were describing the marine reserve. And he said he can get in the water with what feels like a terminal case of depression, and then a few minutes later he's whistling and joyful. And yeah, I think we can all relate to that.
It's kind of a universal thing that we all find. You take your troubles to the water, and it like washes it off. Something happens on every level possible, and I still don't quite understand it, but I'm trying to read every book I can. What happens when we get in the water? Something magical happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before that the marine reserve is fully protected. What does that mean in terms of, like, I know it's a no fishing area, but does it mean other things in terms of conservation work that happens in the reserve, or?
Yes. I'm not an expert on this, but it's an absolute no take area. So you can't even take seaweed off the beach that's been washed up there, or shells, or anything. No animals in there, dogs, cat, and it's the Auckland University Marine Lab is right there. So they'll be doing a lot of their theses there, the doctoral students, on all sorts of topics. We also have a wonderful new initiative, rewilding of Matheson's Bay just around the corner, and they want to make it look like Goat Island looks, restore it to its health.
Oh, wow.
Reforesting with kelp. They do kinna harvesting, which they then compost to put onto the land and the reserves, the mountains to the sea kind of philosophy. And Te Kohuroa, it's called, initiative, and they're just new, doing a really, really great job. And so we're trying to extend what we see at Goat Island around the coastline, and that it's a community-led thing, trying to encourage communities to take this model elsewhere around New Zealand and do what in the ocean, what we're doing on land, the reforesting.
Oh, awesome. We can put some links in the show notes, maybe to the restoration project and the marine reserve.
Yeah.
I'm all for links and show notes, because I listen to a lot of podcasts and I always want to go off, and read more about what people are talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll do that. So when you started ocean swimming, was that in the marine reserve, or were you an ocean swimmer before you moved to Leigh?
No, I was petrified of the ocean. Absolutely terrified of sharks. I loved swimming.
Was that from watching Jaws that you were terrified of?
I have never in my life watched Jaws. I cannot.
Oh,
I will not.
I will never. Good call. I wish I could unwatch it.
I was so afraid as a kid. I would get in the bath and put my head in under the water in the bath and imagine a shark was coming up through the plug hole. That's how illogical it was. And so to get in the ocean, I remember about oh, 11, 12 years ago, I was sort of jogging on a beach here and I saw a guy swimming alone beyond the waves at Omaha Beach at the back of the waves. And I looked at him and thought, how brave. I wish I could do that. I really wish I could. And then that was my year. Every year I have one word. I have a word of the year. And that year it was dauntless. Stop letting fear, because I was just so fearful of things, stop letting that hold me back from doing stuff that is cool. And so I decided, right, I am going to start swimming, but I didn't want to do it alone. And so I started off at Matheson's Bay, which is a really protected little bay. I wouldn't go over my waist. And then I'd get buddies to come along and I'd almost swim on their backs. And then I thought, right, I can't always rely on these buddies. I need more people around me. So I started this Facebook group called Leigh Swimmers. And it started with maybe 3 people. And it's now, I think we've got 750 people on there and a WhatsApp group that's 200 people. And we regularly get 35 turning up on any given weekday. And so I've got lots and lots of swim buddies now. But I'm no longer scared. So now I encourage people who are scared. I've been there. I know how it feels, full on panic attacks and the whole thing. And I love that about it. It's just, I know how it feels. And I know how to coax people in.
Yeah, I love that so much. That whole support in numbers thing makes such a big difference. And I think you're not alone in having previously had a fear of sharks, but managed to overcome or at least sort of live with the uncertainty or the acceptance that sharks are in the sea and it's their home. And
yeah, I think it was it Toy or Brianna in your earlier swim chats had said something about, I think it might have been Toy, the more you expose yourself to the thing you fear, the more your mind and your body realizes it's okay. I don't have to get into fight and flight, and you train yourself. It's through using logic as well. What are the chances? It's really just not going to happen. And I've learned to trust that. And, I know our bronzies are out there. People have seen them. I never have.
Yeah.
Could also be my bad eyesight. Thank heaven.
Well, that can come in handy, right? I have bad eyesight too. Sometimes it's a blessing.
It's merciful. Thank you.
You mentioned that your word of the year was dauntless, which is awesome. Do you have a word this year? Do you still have a word of the year that you choose?
Were you with me when I did that in February when you came on the retreat? We did the word of the year. We painted shells.
No, I wasn't. It must have been the group before me. Yeah.
Oh,
I remember seeing the painted shells.
Yes, we paint shells. It's a little thing I do. We painted these shells with beautiful designs. And on the inside, at the beginning of the year, write a word for your year that you would like to bring into your life. And then we tuck it into our wetsuits and swim out and sort of float in a circle. And we release our shells to the water and they flutter down and release. The word goes then through the ocean and around and manifest. It's kind of just very a ritual that's I find rather lovely. Well, this year my word I decided was ease. I would like a little bit of ease in my life. So I wrote that on my shell. We got into the circle and I said, now release your shells. And down they floated. And out of nowhere, a giant snapper came along and snapped up my word and spat it out. And I just inhaled sharply. We all just our heads came above the water going, what does that mean? Anyway,
the ocean got involved.
And it turns out ease is not my word this year because I've noticed it's been, the word that comes up again and again is pivot. This year I'm needing to pivot a lot. Right. And change direction with things that are just coming left of field at me. And I'm going, all right now it's pivot.
Yeah.
But maybe ease can come in slowly too.
Yeah. I like the idea of having a word in your mind. It's so much more effective than writing, 20 New Year's resolutions that may or may not be achievable. But being able to refer to a word, it sort of I don't know, it's sort of a key, isn't it? That
One word, and how it makes you feel. It's often, ease might not be it. There's some other, I was just talking to a girlfriend and this afternoon. She said her words are gathering and tranquil. So gathered, being gathered. And that's a lovely word, like not rather than grounded or just gathered. Just, yes.
yeah,
I thought that feels quite nice.
yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome. And you've been a swimfluencer. That's another word I love. A swimfluencer for the Ocean Swim series, which is a series of swims that happens annually around the country. And I was looking at their website, and you wrote very openly about your 2014 swim in the Bay of Islands, which I think was your first big ocean swim, and panicking during that swim and having to overcome that, which I really appreciated reading because I've panicked at times in my life, including during swims.
Mm,
And I think a lot of people can relate to that,
mm,
having moments of, where things have gotten pretty intense, either because there are a lot of people around or conditions are rough. Or I was wondering if you feel comfortable talking about what that experience was like and how you sort of overcame it and continued with your swim.
mm. That was a huge. It's been a huge learning uh, thing for me in my life. Actually, realizing what panic is. I've had it before. Even before that, I've been through stages where I've had a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety, which ended up in panic attacks. And over the course of my life, I've tried to understand why and what causes it, how I can bring myself back and protect myself a little bit from that. Um, and that swim, because I had been so petrified, I decided I was going to challenge myself. And it wasn't first thing in the morning, it was like at 1 p.m. So I had all morning to get myself, my whole wetsuit, I think, was just full of adrenaline. And you know how the start of these events are. They're on the microphone, they're getting everybody revved up. And so I was so nervous. And then, of course, what I see a lot with newbies coming swimming, you take off too fast. We always go too fast. Suddenly, you feel like you're out of breath about 100 meters out. I see it all the time. And you think, I can't get enough oxygen. You've probably been hyperventilating, and bang, there's that hot panic that just floods you. And I just thought, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm going to drown. And um, I had arms and legs thrashing around me, and you know how it is. And then I saw a woman clinging to a kayak, and she was sobbing. So she
Oh.
was obviously happening to her too. And I thought, Kate, you have trained for this. You know how to do this. I am not going to be pulled out after 100 meters. And my family were in the ferry going across, watching me, and I think the kids had been worried for me. But I ripped my wetsuit down to my waist. I took it off and got cold. And I've found for panic, no matter where you are, if you get cold, get under a cold shower, jump in a cold pool or an ocean, or splash water or icy water on your face, it calms you, it distracts you and calms you down. I've found that to be marvelous. And so I slowly just did breaststroke, and then would put my face in and take a breath every stroke, and slowly just calmed. Took quite a while just to calm myself down. And once all that adrenaline, I'd got that out of my body by exhale, 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 I then could relax. But I swam the whole swim with my wetsuit flapping behind me. So
Well, well done on completing the swim and knowing to exhale, like that's such a big part of it, isn't it?
that's what I've noticed. It's a big thing now about oxygen stacking, too much oxygen. You've got to exhale longer than the inhale, and that's where the yoga comes in too. It seems to be all about the breath. A lot of regulating the central nervous system is about calming your breath.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
efficiency of breathing as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So you can keep
Yes.
going. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And trusting. I did just a thing called the Resilience Lab in Tasmania in February. I took a group to Tasmania, and we did. We put our faces into a bowl of icy water, and they put an oximeter on our finger, and you could see when you did breath hold, your oxygen stayed the same. It didn't change at all, the oxygen levels, and your heart rate dropped from 80 down to 50. And it was just
Wow.
the monkey brain telling you, you must breathe, and how to recognize those signals of your, the brain, the back part of your brain, the ancient part, telling you to breathe. Your face is in water, this is danger, and how to kind of relax into it and exhale. And it was it's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating to explore, isn't it? Because we
Mm.
receive so many messages in our minds, and some of them are very important and some of them
Yes,
not. And yeah, so we sort of need to learn to sort through them and
yes.
recognize which ones help us.
Have you read James Nestor's book, Breathe or
I
Breath?
haven't, but you've recommended it. It's on my list. Yeah.
It's such a good book. I'm just starting it for the second time. He explains it. It's in such a good way. It's um, yeah, easy to understand and quite revolutionary.
Awesome.
Mm.
Well, you went to Tasmania as part of your YogiFish business. So let's talk about YogiFish. When did you first set it up and what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, I did my yoga teacher training just before lockdown. I got down like 2 days before lockdown, finished it, and then came home, went into lockdown, had all this time to think about how much I loved swimming and how much yoga gave me as well, and how it dovetails so beautifully together. And I thought, well, this actually would be a really lovely thing, is to take people on adventures where we explore the water, the sea, the self, and so in lockdown, I began to think about it and got my brother-in-law did the little logo and got the core values. What do you want to do with it? And so I've allowed this Yogi Fish to take me for the ride. I didn't know how it was all going to pan out, and I still don't really. I'm just allowing it to go where it wants to take me, and it's been a wonderful journey of meeting really, really nice people, and we all go and make memories in the water and on the mat. And it's also, I incorporate like a bit of the local culture, and I try to just make it interesting and to explore. So adding all these little elements in, let's try this. You might not like it, but you might like it. Who knows? So let's just play.
That's something I really enjoyed about it. And I love how you have the different levels of retreats for different types of swimmers, including the newbies who might want to get in the sea, but they're terrified, or so they just need that support. Because a lot of swim camps are for the more sort of endurance swimmers, long distance, which that's all good, but I love how you cater for all levels,
Yes,
make
yes.
it
And
more
even
accessible.
on the ones, say, to Aitutaki, it's a whole package. It's not just a swim, just swimming. It's a bit of yoga. We learned to do island dancing. We do a lot of different things together, and then we go out. Even non-swimmers, there's plenty for non-swimmers to do while we're swimming. They snorkel where the boat is, and we catch up. And if people want to wear, we're not precious about, if they want to wear fins, wear fins. If you want to wear a snorkel and mask, super, why not? Make it work for you and make it accessible and real for as many people as possible, and supportive. I think that's the thing. That's what I needed when I was anxious. And I think I know how that feels. And I just want people to experience the joy of getting in the ocean and exploring.
Yeah, I love
Mm.
that. I was going to say, with the different activities you offer during the February retreat, you included dancing on the final night. And initially, I was thinking, oh, I don't know about dancing in front of people. I don't really know. And then I loved it so much, and I realized I'd sort of it had been so long since I danced without even
Yes,
realizing. And it felt
yes.
so good to move my body. And I wondered, is dancing something you do regularly?
No, no, no. But I've got a girlfriend here who has started dancing in the dark in winter, and it was so much fun. And because I think you sort of get to an age where you don't care really, nobody's really looking anyway. So it's just such a freeing, I don't know, just to move,
Yeah, it's really
move to
freeing.
music.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't generally tell people that's what we're going to do, because for sure everyone will go, well, there's no way I'm going to do a boogie, you know, completely sober. And,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
but once it goes, and I think everybody saw we were so just uninhibited, and
Yeah.
it's just dance
Yeah.
without judgment, without anything. And the first one in December for beginners, it was a whole hour. I think we were absolutely wrecked, but
It's
that's
really
fine.
good intense exercise, but yeah, it doesn't feel like exercise. You just realize at the end, it's like, wow, I'm really sort of sweaty and out of breath.
Yes, you
But you
and
had a great
Troy,
time. Yeah.
you whipped out those dance moves. I was so impressed.
Thank goodness it's not on social media.
No, no cameras.
No
No,
cameras.
absolutely not.
And I was going to ask what it's like running swim retreats, because it seems kind of fascinating to me that you bring together all these people, who are from different parts of the world or parts of New Zealand and haven't met before, but quickly it felt like everybody got along. But what's it like for you running swim retreats when you have, different people and expectations? Is it, yeah, just what's it like, I guess?
I think before everybody arrives, you kind of don't know who's coming and the personalities, but immediately when people do arrive, you get a feel. You just feel your way into it. How is this? And notice different personalities. The Feb group, your group, I knew immediately this was just going to come together beautifully. It just felt immediately great.
Yeah.
And I think with trips away, what I've noticed, or anything, if you're having a party or a dinner party, you get to set the tone.
Mm,
So when people come in and you're calm and maybe a light-hearted, and they think, oh, it's okay. This is not going to be serious. It's going to be light. We'll have a laugh. We'll have fun. And if they feel supported and that nothing is compulsory, it's just, if you choose to dip out, that's fine. And so putting people at ease. And sometimes you will get people who come in, they just want to do kilometers, and perhaps if the fit isn't quite right. But I think I'm quite clear in my description of my
yeah, you do
retreat.
have a lot of description.
A
Yeah.
lot of description, so you know what you're in for. But that's the thing, is you set the tone, and if necessary, pivot.
Yeah, pivot. That's a good word. And you seem to be expanding, as in you're offering new retreats in different parts of the world. So there's Tasmania, Indonesia, Cook Islands. How do you choose where to run these retreats?
It's always, if it fascinates me, I think it probably fascinates others. Cook Islands is the real relaxation, typical, the beautiful palm trees and the white sand and the lagoon, and it's a real holiday. We go to Niue, and that is the rock of Polynesia, just this little rock coming up from the ocean depths. And it's got the clearest water in the world, 80 to 100-meter visibility, no lagoon. So it's a bit more daunting. So
Mm,
you go out through the cracks in the rocks and you're in the big blue immediately, and big swells. You can have swells. And so that's more of an adventure. It's not a flop and drop destination. There's no beaches.
I like
Um,
flip and drop.
yeah, flop and drop's good. This is not flop and drop. We walk down sea tracks to rock pools and water pools where kings bathed, and so it's more of an adventure.
Right. Hmm.
Tasmania, just I think the giant kelp there attracted me, and I think it's just a cool little island. And very good. I collaborate with Lisa from Tassie Swim Journeys there. So she and I work together. She's very accomplished there. I wouldn't take people there because I don't know the conditions, and she does. And same with Indonesia. I'm teaming up with Roger from All Blue Swim Tours, and we're going to Lombok. I'll be the sweep at the back for the swimmers. I'll sweep everyone at the back up and also do the yoga. And I'm going up to Ubud. I'm doing meditation training, and so I'm going to experiment on people with that and
wow.
just
Cool.
explore a little bit of the quieter side of yoga, the yoga journey. So they kind of just come up.
Awesome.
You're not going to ask me what next, are you? Because I don't know.
I was thinking that question in my head, but yeah, you don't have to know.
I don't. I think 2021 is pretty full.
Yeah. I suppose as a swimmer, are there destinations that you would like to swim in?
I did see Ocean Swim Series have just come out with Scott Rice. He's with his Fiji cruise around the Yasawas. Ooh, that
Piqued your interest?
Yeah. Yes, it did. But it's probably at the same time I'm in Niue, so. But I did think, oh, that would be nice. I did look at Tahiti on a catamaran, but it became very, very expensive. It just didn't quite come together. Yeah. And if something comes and there's too much current, if it's too tricky, I think, well, it's not ready yet. Usually when something's ready, it'll flow. It just flows beautifully,
Yeah, and it feels like it's meant to be without too much stress, yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, wouldn't mind going to Heron Island. You mentioned you were there.
Yes, I went there last year with Swim Mastery, and it was beautiful. Yeah, highly recommended. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I know that you enjoy books and movies about swimming. Are there any that you'd like to discuss on the podcast while you're here? Any favorites?
Oh gosh, I guess I've got a list on my fridge of about 30 movies and YouTube clips that I'm getting through. I have to say I do like the Kim Swims one that we watched. Kim Chambers, Kiwi woman, goes to San Francisco and has a bad accident, almost loses her leg. She's an A-type personality. And so she takes on this challenge of swimming from the Farallon Islands, where great whites hang out, to the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's just such an uplifting, inspiring movie from one of our own. I love that movie.
It's incredible, isn't it? I've seen it, and yeah, she just decides she's going to do this amazing thing that very few people have done. I think she was the first woman to do it.
Yes.
And then she just does it. And it's I can't remember how many kilometers it was, but it was in very cold water for a very long time, and one of the sort of shark hotspots of the world as well. Yeah.
She's so brave. And jumping in at midnight at where all these great whites hang out to eat the seals. And I just thought, I could not. I'm not that brave. I would not want to do that.
Yeah, I feel the same, but I love watching movies of other people doing it.
Yes, I just want to applaud and think that is so courageous.
Yeah, exactly.
A book, I think one I really enjoyed was, I'm just looking in my bookcase here. It's called Leap In, and is it somebody Hemmensley, I think?
Yeah, is it Alexandra?
Yes. I really enjoyed that. It was her journey of going from being a marathon runner to getting in the ocean as she went through IVF treatment. And it was just her story that was so real and vulnerable. And I really enjoyed that and the tips for newcomers getting into the oceson.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, she writes just very sort of beautifully but matter-of-factly in a very relatable way. And I remember she wrote about, I don't know if it was going to the pool or being in the sea, but wearing a swimsuit or a wetsuit and just feeling self-conscious about it, and having to, that was part of the transition as well for her to being a swimmer. And yeah, I could relate to that. It's like you have this whole new wardrobe that you sort of have to adjust to.
Yes.
no matter what you're wearing. Yeah.
And literally going in over your head and out of your depth, like throwing yourself in over your head, and
out of
she
your
went
comfort
through.
zone. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I
And
did enjoy
learning, making some mistakes and learning from them, and yeah, that's right.
that.
Well, we've been talking for about 45 minutes, I think. Is there anything? I know it's gone so fast. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about that we haven't already discussed?
I just love our swimming community. I really enjoy meeting other Kiwis from other swim pods, and I think eventually we're all just going to know each other.
Yeah.
And so we're just this bigger community.
Yeah, I love that too. It feels, you get to know people and it just feels really natural because no matter what else is going on in your life, you have this shared interest or shared passion.
Yes,
And then if they live somewhere else and you're visiting that area, you go for a swim with them.
go and
Like,
explore the coastlines of New Zealand from with different pods, with different, and it's I think people who get into the ocean have a certain something that's really attractive, and I think it is. They're courageous and they look so damn well.
yeah, they do. That's
They
right.
look so healthy and alive and full of
Yeah.
zest. And I think there's something in the water.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want what they're having. And a
Yes.
couple of weeks ago, there was a couple who were on the February retreat that you ran, and they visited Wellington. And so Toy and I met them and took them for a swim in the harbour. And it was not the nicest day in Wellington. It was drizzly. There was a strong northerly, so there was chop, and the rest of the swimmers were sort of a bit meh about it. And but these two were just so excited because they hadn't been there before, and for them it was like part of the Wellington experience, that they were going to be in the chop, and yeah, they were so excited the whole time that it really was quite contagious, that everyone else was like, oh yeah, we are lucky to swim here, and have the saltwater fountain that we can swim around, and you see it through fresh eyes. So that was something.
That's the beauty. That was Paul and Jan, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
That's the beauty of getting newbies in, because I sort of live vicariously through them. You see again how you felt, and you remember, I
Yeah.
remember feeling like that the first time, and this the exhilaration when you get out. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a great community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kaye. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And we'll put some links in the show notes. So to YogiFish and Go Island Marine Reserve, and just all the things we've been talking about, so people can find out more. But yeah, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shona. I'm so glad I met you.
Yeah, likewise. And I look forward to swimming with you again soon, no matter where we are.
You too.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Swim Chats. Please hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.